Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Tuesday, March the 26th. And welcome to our commentary. We're going to be chatting with our friend George Rodriguez tonight, who walked away and came right back. George, that must have been some magical move. You must have been a football player in your younger days. But we're going to be talking to George in a minute. George went to Univision and had a very interesting interview. We'll talk about that. And we're also going to be talking about President Lopez-Obrador of Mexico and his 60 Minutes interview and some things that have happened related to that. But I want to begin. I'd like to point out that I have a post over at the American Thinker today, and it's my criticism of the Biden administration abstaining from a vote in the Security Council calling for a ceasefire a ceasefire in the Middle East and basically hitting Israel very hard. We could have killed it as a member of the Security Council. The United States could have killed this resolution, but we didn't. We sat away and didn't vote. We abstained. And in doing so, we gave, frankly, the Israelis a bad defeat. They're not happy with it, and they shouldn't be happy with it. And to me, what it comes down to is that the Biden administration seems to be more worried about Michigan than Israel. And when you let local politics get in the way like that, it's not good for the country. So let me say hello to my friend George Rodriguez. How are you, George?
Real good. Thank you very much.
George, what did you think of my piece or my opinion regarding this resolution in the UN?
Well, I think it's on target. I am really shocked, disappointed, and disgusted that the Biden administration is not watching the back of our closest ally. And I mean the closest ally that we have practically in the world, definitely in the Middle East. And for them to allow the thugs, and that's what I will call them, the thugs that are the leaders of the UN, to win this resolution and to be able to condemn and possibly take action against Israel really speaks volumes of how much the anti-Israel lobby, how powerful they are within the Biden administration.
Right. I tell you, you're exactly right. And, the Israelis are acting, George. I think we should remind everybody that the Israelis are acting because on October 7th, their citizens were killed in huge numbers.
2,000 of them.
2,000 of them. You had terrorists going into a music festival, killing young men and raping young women.
Defenseless people.
Absolutely. And then they're going around in a small town, literally home by home, shooting families. In some cases, eating breakfast. In some cases, moms getting their kids ready for school. They have hostages. I mean, how can you negotiate with people like that?
You can't.
Right.
You can't. These people are bent. These Hamas terrorists and their Palestinian, Arab, Muslim, Iranian supporters are, they don't want any kind of negotiation. They don't want to discuss any type of situation where there is an existence of a state of Israel. They want to wipe Israel out. The other thing is that they are willing to be cowardly, attack, and then hide behind their own citizens, which is what's happening with Gaza right now. Right. All of the problems that the Palestinian citizens in Gaza are experiencing are a direct relationship, are a direct result of Hamas attacking Israel. It is Absolutely. Not. Israel did not provoke this. Israel did not. We've got to remind these people, particularly the supporters, the crazed supporters here in the United States, that Israel did not provoke this latest round of fighting.
No, I agree. I mean, it's insane. I mean, people who are. I love the one Queers for Palestine. That's my favorite one. Queers for Palestine. I mean, that's that's just ignorance.
They are delusional and
delusional. Stupid. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to briefly mention that. Now let's talk about your visit to Univision. You were a guest of the national Univision show on Sundays with the host Jorge Ramos. And just tell us a little bit about that. How did you get invited to that show?
Well, as you know, I've been speaking very, very strongly about in support of SB4. And I've had a lot of interviews with local Univision and Telemundo stations, both here in San Antonio and in Houston and in Dallas. And I guess somewhere along the way, my name was referred to the national network folks, and they called and asked me to participate. Now, participating in Al Punto with Jorge Ramos, it's a pretty big deal because Jorge Ramos, as you know, has been very, very well known to be very, very much of a, I'm not sure how else to put it, but very much of an advocate for the liberal position. And that's exactly what I anticipated, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
He wanted to know why, as a Mexican, I would be supportive of Trump, who's made the comment about Mexicans polluting blood, the blood of Americans. I'm not sure what Trump meant by that, but I told him that.
He was. He wasn't talking about Mexicans. He wasn't talking about immigrants. He was talking about criminal elements.
Yeah, no,
Trump. That's what he was talking
Trump
about.
Was talking about criminals.
And
exactly.
I was asked that, by the way, not to cut you off, but I was asked that same question by Univision. They invited me in another program, the digital one that they also do, and they asked me that question, and I said, well, I don't know what he meant by that. I mean, he didn't consult with me. Had he consulted with me, I would have told him not to use that line.
Right.
But here's the thing, George, and I think you defended yourself very well. And by the way, for those who are interested, newsbusters.org, I think that's what it is, newsbusters.org has a part of your interview, the video. But I thought you defended yourself quite well, because here's what happens, and I think he tried to do that to you, Jorge. Jorge tried to do that to you. Trump gives a 90-minute speech, right? And they take out one line from the speech, okay? And I thought the way you answered it was so well, because what you said was, look, I don't know why he said that. I don't agree with everything that he says, but I like the message that he's giving. And I thought you were really brilliant in that, because that is the reason that he's gaining more support. I mean, however you want to say it, whether you want to say blood in the, a
bloodbath,
whatever you want to call it. The fact is that the guy is correct that what is happening on the border is not good.
It's not. Today, as we speak, there was a woman that was killed in an attempt in a hijacking in Michigan, and we've got the situation in Georgia where a jogger was killed, a female jogger. I mean, it's happening all over the place. And, again, one of the questions that has been asked of me that some of the local talk shows have asked me is, that illegal aliens do not comprise a large number of criminals. Well, how many criminals do we need? I mean, how much criminality is tolerable? I mean, you tell me 1, 2, 3 crimes, and okay, I'll live with that. But one crime committed by an illegal alien, it's one too many.
Right. Well, I think the best answer to that question that, was answered by none other than Senator Rubio. Senator Rubio was on TV here recently, one of the Sunday shows in the last couple of weeks. And somebody asked him that question, and he said, look, they're not killing because they're not committing crimes because they're immigrants. They're committing crimes because they're criminals.
Exactly.
And that's why they're criminals. I don't care what nationality they are.
A crime is a crime.
A crime is a crime. You have crime in the United States, committed by U.S. citizens. So it's not that they're immigrants, it's that they are criminals. And
now
the problem,
the additional thing to that, though, is that because they are illegal aliens, because they are immigrants, they should not be here, and the crime possibly would not be committed.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. I also feel that there's another issue that gets overlooked by these people who ask these questions, and that is that when you bring into the country 8 to 10 million people who have not been vetted correctly, then look, you're going to get criminals.
You're going to get some bad
That's
apple.
it. I mean, so I don't think, I don't, because people, the same question, you were asked the question about you being Mexican. Of course, the reality is, as you mentioned in your interview, you're third or fourth generation Mexican. You've been here,
Right.
all your life, and I think your parents also. But in my case, I am an immigrant. I was born in Cuba and I came here. So when people ask me these questions, I say, look, we're not talking about immigration. We're talking about unvetted illegal immigrants. And if you bring them in, unfortunately, some of them are going to be criminal, not because they're immigrants, but because they are criminals who we let in.
Sure number. Just
and that's the issue. Now, so you spoke for about 5 minutes. I know these interviews are often very short. Was there somebody else that came before you or after you?
There was an attorney that spoke beforehand that really didn't speak against SB4, but talked about what challenges there were going to be for law enforcement. Now, what I found unusual was that usually you can get a member of law enforcement to speak for themselves, but in this case, they had an attorney doing it.
Right.
So that was really the gist of it.
Yeah.
I made it very, very clear when they contacted me that I was not going to debate anybody on the legal merits because I am not an attorney.
Right.
However, I was going to talk about it as a citizen and as somebody who sees what is happening to our state and what the federal government is not doing.
Yeah. Well, I think the attorneys that I've seen on our Spanish channel here, so far at least, have been good in their analysis. What they're basically saying is this law applies only to people who cross the border without papers. So, because what they're projecting in their criticism of the law is that the police is going to be standing in the street corner looking for Mexicans,
Right.
as if there is such a thing as a Mexican. I mean, as far as appearance,
especially when you've got Asians and Haitians,
exactly.
Everybody crossing now.
Yeah. So, but I thought you did a great job. So, congratulations.
Thank
you. If you can get a hold of the one that I saw was a bit limited.
Yeah.
But if you could get a hold of the entire link,
I do have the entire link. I'm trying to figure out how to put English subtitles on it. But
oh, okay, yeah, because the one you had the English subtitles. The one you were sharing had the English subtitles on it. But I think you did a great job, and congratulations. Now let's move on to our one of our favorite people, George. This is one of our favorite people, the president of Mexico, Andrés Manuel Lopez-Obrador. And, he was elected and, he's the president of Mexico. That's fine. We accept that. But he wants, he wants to cut a deal with the United States on the immigration or the migration issue. And this is what he wants. I'm just going to put it on the table, George, and see what you think of this proposal. He wants $20 billion for poor countries. Now,
yes, not just for Mexico, for poor countries.
For poor countries. How that money is going to be spread out, who gets it, and what pocket it goes into, your guess is as good as mine, George.
Yeah.
The second thing that he wants is no sanctions on Venezuela. Gee, wow.
Again, speaking on behalf of his friends.
Yes, but that great democracy of Venezuela,
Light of liberty.
Yeah, that democracy where they don't allow a particular candidate to run because they fear that the candidate is going to win. That great democracy of Venezuela, we're going to do away with. He wants us to do away with sanctions. Now, no embargo against Cuba. He wants to end the embargo against Cuba. That's a good one. He likes that one.
Again,
now,
I'm his friend.
They're good friends. Now, I'm a little cynical on this one, George, as you probably know, being Cuban American. But number one, Mexico has been lending a lot of money to Cuba, and so maybe Lopez-Obrador would like to see the United States bail out Cuba so that they can pay back all the loans that Mexico has given them. But in a larger point, George, there is nothing. Money is not going to fix the problem in Cuba.
Exactly.
The problem in Cuba is socialism.
Exactly.
And you cannot fix it with problems.
A socialist dictatorship.
That's it. So, and then here's the next one, the last one, and I saved it for last on purpose, George. He wants millions of Mexicans legalized in the United States. I guess he doesn't like his own people because he wants them legalized up here. That's how if I was Mexican, that's how I would interpret it. Gee, he wants us to stay up here.
It is just the amount of nerve. And again, I am not sure. I look at him like I do Biden. I think they're cut from the same tree. They are fruit from the same tree. I'm not sure if he is ignorant and dumb or if he's just trying to push it as far as he can to see.
I think that's it. Honestly, I think that's it. I think he's pushing this as far as he can. He's trying to get whatever deal he can get.
And he's trying to get it now before Trump possibly becomes the next president.
Well, and also remember, he's going to be.
It's going to be curtains for him.
Yeah, and remember also, he's out of the presidency. Lopez-Obrador is out of the presidency in September.
Correct.
Because his term will expire the 1st of September. So
I've heard that the lady that may succeed him is just as bad as he is, from the same party.
They come from the same party, but she's a bit of an enigma to Mexicans because she doesn't have much of a personality. She's kind of a bureaucratic person. And so to many Mexicans, she's a bit of an enigma. Yes, they're from the same party. Yes, she supports Lopez Obrador, but nobody really knows, she's a bit of an enigma. And how she would deal with this crisis on the border, I don't know. I honestly don't know. But a lot depends who he or she is negotiating with on this side.
Right.
So I think you're right. But here's another thing, George, that you're going to like. In 2023, $63 billion in remittances went from Mexicans in the United States to Mexico. Now, to be fair,
63 billion with a B.
Yeah, 63 billion. When you consider that the Mexican economy is, the GDP is between 1 and 2 billion or trillion. I mean, the Mexican economy is a little bit smaller than the Texas GDP. $63 billion is the largest inflow of money to Mexico. Larger than petroleum.
Whatever they're whatever they are producing.
Yes. So this is really free money for Mexico. It comes in. Now, in all fairness, and I always say this because I think it's important to know what's behind these remittances. Most of it is just family to family.
Correct.
It's,
but
there's
still,
a young man
family that gets that money spends it.
That's right. That's exactly right. So somebody up here sends $100 to his mom. Now they do it through credit cards and wire transfers. I mean, for a long time they actually took it in cash, but now they just wire the money. So you wire $100 to your mom spends it. That's $63 billion coming into the Mexican economy. That's a lot of liquidity. And that also, George, keeps the peso strong because all this money coming in. So again, as I say, I think it's fair to say that it's family to family for the most part. And it's the intention is noble. I want to help my mom. I want to help my family and so on. But that's still a lot of money, George.
It really is. It really is. This situation, is literally the hand, the the mouth that bites the hand that feeds it. It really is. And I think that for a long time I have maintained that Mexican politicians used to be the PRI. Now it's whatever, I can't remember what Lopez-Obrador, his party is. But these high-ranking politicians seem to have an absolute jealousy of the United States, seem to want to make the United States look as bad as possible in the public eye, and then they turn around and make demands that are outrageous, only because they themselves have failed to take care of their own country. I mean, he claimed in that interview in 60 Minutes that he's got the cartels under control. I mean, he actually said that. I mean, talk about a blatant lie.
Yeah,
it is just crazy that he made all of these comments and demands of the United States. And what's really unnerving to me more than that is that Biden and the Biden administration had no response for it.
right. No, that's exactly right. They should have come out right away. Actually, what he wants, or what he's proposing now, is no different than what he told the Biden delegation over Christmas time. Remember, they sent a delegation before Christmas, and basically it's the same message.
Same thing.
And that he wasn't shut down at that point is amazing.
Yeah, and he wasn't shut down, so now he's saying it louder. Right. And if they don't shut him down, he's going to make it even louder.
And I do think that, we were talking before about whether he's smart, or I mean, he's not dumb. I can tell you that he's not a stupid person. He's very smart, Lopez-Obrador. And I think what he's also, you have to consider too, and I have this theory that I think he's looking beyond the presidency of Mexico. And what I mean by that is that it's not that he's going to be the president of the UN. That's not what I mean. But he wants to become sort of like the Nelson Mandela of the migrants. You know what I mean? Sort of like this international leader.
Yes.
Who is like, looking out for all the migrants in the world. And I think that's what is driving this. I don't think he's not stupid. I tell you that right now. He's not stupid. So the question is, I mean, do we even have the votes in the United States to approve a package like this? I don't think we do.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I mean, stuff doesn't get out of the house.
Just the idea that he's got the gumption to make those demands should say something about the state of foreign policy in America.
Well, that's it. I think he thinks he can get this deal, and that he's got to, the clock is ticking, so he's got to get it done. But the one about ending sanctions against Venezuela, I mean, and ending the embargo against Cuba, what does that have to do with migrants crossing Mexico? Lopez Obrador could shut down the caravans on the border with Guatemala.
Yeah, Guatemala. That's
he
right.
could stop it right there. And yet they let these caravans go through. So, well, anyway, so once again, anything else you want to say about your interview with Jorge Ramos? Anything else?
No, I think it went well. It was very cordial. Hopefully, I might get another opportunity sometime. But I was pleased, and I'm ready to go at it again whenever I'm called on.
Did you get the feeling, and this is not necessarily about your interview, but did you get the feeling that Univision seems to be more interested in Republican opinions these days?
I think so. I definitely have gotten that feeling, yes. And they are desperately looking for people who can articulate it in Spanish. That's the thing that I definitely get.
Yeah, because a lot of Republicans don't like to go on Univision. Exactly. I mean, I've had Republicans say to me...
And they can't express themselves very well in Spanish.
Well, that's the other problem, yeah. But a lot of Republicans have said to me, I'm talking about, Republicans primarily in the Miami area, who say, no, I'm not going to go on that network because that's just, that's that they're going to try to make me look bad. Now, I've never had that experience. I mean, I've been
Well,
on
I
Univision
was
here.
I was warned. I mean, I told folks, be watching for me,
Yeah,
and I had a lot of people tell me, "Don't go." I
right.
had a lot of people tell me, "Don't do it. They're going to make you look bad." I had a lot of people tell me that, but you know, um, I
Oh, I
thought,
thought you did a very nice job, and I thought he was respectful to you, which is
I thought so
important.
too.
And I think that in my own personal experience, whenever I've been on Univision or Telemundo here locally, they've always been very nice to me. I've always enjoyed it. And here recently, I've been getting a lot of requests from Univision in parts of the country that I don't, like Los Angeles,
Right,
I was
exactly.
with,
Yeah.
and places New York, uh, and so places. I guess they just get my name from somebody here locally, and I've been treated very well. I'm not going to complain about it, but they've treated me well. But I tell it like I see it, just like you did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't go wrong by telling the truth. So,
That's right. That's
you know,
right. Now, no, one last thing here before we go, George. Nothing on the Texas SBA for before the law, before the appeals court. I don't know. I'm going to say something crazy, but I think that makes how can I say it? I think the fact that it hasn't been decided makes it more likely that they will accept as before. Am I
I think
wrong?
so. I really do believe that it's going to happen. Once again, when you look at the merits carefully, objectively, it is not an immigration law. It is a border security law. It has to do with intercepting people at the border who are coming in without papers, who are coming in illegally, and definitely to catch people who might be coming in under the radar for a purpose.
Yeah.
That's where it's meant. It's not meant to go to Dallas and round up people. It's not
Right.
meant to go to a farm field in the middle of Texas to pick somebody up. It's not meant for that.
No.
Neither
They
do
don't
the
have
Dallas
time for
police
that.
officers. Neither do the San Antonio police officers. Nobody in our major cities has no police department is going to do that because they don't have time. They
Well,
don't.
that's it. That's what people don't understand. I mean, that police officers, first of all, it's already illegal to do racial profiling. So that's number one. And number two, police officers don't have time to stand in a street corner and say, okay, I'm going to stop everybody who looks Mexican.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean, what does
who,
that mean? I
Silvio,
mean,
how many shootings were there in Dallas County this past weekend? How many shootings?
I'm sure there were a few.
So I
I'm
mean,
sure there were a few.
it's not like they don't have anything to do.
That's
So
right.
it is
That's
a
exactly.
border security. It is a border security uh, law. It has to do with people being stopped who are sneaking into the country.
Right.
That
That's the point. One of the lawyers made that point that I was listening to. He says, "Hey, if you go to the port of entry, you're not going to have any problem.
exactly.
But it's people who cross the
In fact,
border."
look what happened in El Paso last week when hundreds of people stormed
Right.
the gate. When they stormed the fence and the gate, I mean, those that got through, and there
That's
was no
right.
repercussion.
That's
There was
right.
no
By
repercussion.
the, by the way, there's a comment that somebody put in there asking me if I have a Rumble account, and I don't. I do not. So if that person wants to send me an email, I'll be happy to arrange something. But I don't have a Rumble account. This is the one that we have. Do you have a Rumble account by any chance,
I
George?
don't. I am on Twitter. I am
Yeah.
on or
So
X.
am I. So am I.
I am on Facebook, and I'm on LinkedIn,
Oh, okay.
as well as my webpage, elconservador.net. But
Okay. Yeah. The same with me. I have a
and I've
blog and
got
I have.
the YouTube channel that
Yes, and that's right, and that's what this is. So this gentleman who's or the person who's sending the comment, if you want to contact me off the air and we can talk about Rumble, I'm not familiar with anything about it, but I'll always happy to hear
if it
what anybody
expands
has
your
to say.
expands
Yeah,
your horizons, go for it.
yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, as long as I have the time to do it, I'll be
Exactly.
happy to do it. That's the issue with these things. George, thank you so much for your time. And
My pleasure.
congratulations on
Thank you
your Univision visit. I hope it's the beginning of many more. And as I said, they need people like you at Univision. They really do.
and you too. And you too.
Yes. Well, maybe you can tell Jorge that you have this friend in Dallas that would be happy to back up everything you said.
You got it, buddy.
All right. Thank you, George.
Thank
you
you
so
very,
much.
very much.
My pleasure. Our good friend, George Rodriguez from South Texas. Always enjoy chatting with him. Of course, this week with the Easter weekend, coming up and all of that, and with his visit on Univision. Normally, when we talk to George, it's like on Sundays, but with his visit to Univision and the Easter weekend coming up, so we decided to have it a little bit earlier. But he did a great job at Univision. And again, he was talking about SB4. SB4 is what happens when the federal government doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything to fix the problem, and then you leave the state of Texas in the mess that you've left it in. One thing I want to say before I go, I was listening to an interview with a Border Patrol. I think it was the Union chief. I think he was the Border Patrol Union chief. He said something very interesting. He said, the real impact of SBA 4 is not going to be in Texas. It's going to be in Arizona and California, because the word is getting out that getting into Texas is difficult. And people are already, going in the other direction to Arizona and California. So I think what you're going to see in the next couple of weeks, whatever the Supreme Court decides, over the next couple of weeks, you're going to see more and more people heading to Arizona and California and create the problem that they have, make it many, many times bigger. Well, thank you for listening. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.